So a few weeks or a month or two or however long it's been, sorry about that, I challenged you to make a Makuta from a phobia. Basically, something like arachnophobia into a spider mock. Well, you all submitted, a lot of you did, I believe we had 17 entries, so let's get into rank them. To start, we have Makuta Braxton. He is a Makuta of necrophobia, the fear of death, melanophobia, fear of the color black, and megalophobia, fear of large things and creatures. Looking at him, he's a pretty simple build. He definitely does capture the megalophonia piece, but all in all, he feels very creatively lacking. His fear of death feels almost tacked on the fear of black as well. It almost would have been better if you set to one phobia rather than three, hence why he is number 17. Don't get me wrong, it's a good mock. Just was missing a few elements. Should have focused on one branch rather than split out. Quality over quantity. At number 16, we have Makuta Arachnix, Scourge of the Swamp. Obviously, arachnophobia. It is pretty good mock. Love the custom cover art. The beautiful design. Also, cool set number. I don't know. I have to look up what that set is. Probably should. Anyways, just really simple. Wasn't super creative. Definitely did nail arachnophobia down. And definitely would have been a great. If this was a Bionicle set, I would have bought it. Like it's good set. Just there's better ones. That's really all I gotta boil it down to on this one. This one is Bionics, which is the Makuta of Pyrophobia, fear of fire, and he's just a simple build. He captures his phobia very well. Not the most creative, but it works. And just really, it's some of these mocks aren't bad. They just there's better ones on the list. On to the next one. Barrick Makuta of Purple. They didn't have a phobia name on it, but I'm assuming whatever the fear of purple is called. Anyhow, they definitely did a very purple centric mock, and it's a good mock. I do like it. I love the cape. The mask looks off with the shade of purple, but I think it's the old purple, not the new purple. And I love the claws as well. It's just, as I said last time, better mocks. This one's not the most creative. It's a fear of a color. Fear of a color kind of at least feels like, at least to me, a cop out. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you can do it well. If you want to try, please do. At me on Discord or Reddit or whatever. I'm not really on Reddit anymore. Whatever you want to do. If you want to post a mock and do it like color wise, go ahead. But at least to me, it feels a bit like a cop out, and a more original fear would have been much better, which we will see later down the road. There are some really interesting fears done. Lego swappers. Here we have Thalassaur, which represents thalassophobia. I believe that's a fear of like stepping on something spiky in the water, or fear of ocean creatures or something. It's in there somewhere. It's just not in the post that I copied down. I like this mock. The way the spikes on the shoulder work for what it is. The pretty good use of explodes weapon. It's a simple but good build. I love the torso, and the colors, they're not bad. Very Christmassy. Although I just love when people use the Black Phantom headpiece and the Baraki spikes. Obviously, this is the Thornrax one, but the spider head. Brings back memories of the Jangbricks spider mech. Anyways, on to the next one. Serpenta, the Makuta of Ophidiophobia. Ophidiophobia? Whatever. Fear of snakes. It's heavily inspired by the Serpentine from Ninjago, and it's really cool. I think it definitely pulls that off well. Head design, amazing, gorgeous. I love it. It's just super simple. Simple's the wrong word. Wow. It's super straightforward. Fear of snakes, it's a snake. Brain shut down. Don't get me wrong. Again, great mock. I think it's one of the better mocks so far. Probably the best we've seen design-wise. But it lacks that spark like the next one. Alphonse. I think it's Alphonse. Alphonse Makuta of Graphophobia. Phobia. Basically, the fear of the alphabet. And it's a giant letter A. This is what I'm talking about when I say creativity. They took the most random fear of the alphabet, and made a letter A as their character. It's simple, but the design is pretty well. It designs pretty well. The design works very well. Even the spikes aren't the most A-like things, but even then they carry that kind of W shape, which again works with the fear of the letter alphabet, and they could even be represented as an A. Scoopers are pretty cool, and yeah, this is basically, it's not the best mock of the contest. It's pretty simple, which is why it's ranked so low. But this is exactly what I wanted to see. These really creative ways of interpreting a phobia, but a little bit more design oriented, like a little bit more heavy on the design element, like a little bit more complicated, less simple. Although, don't get me wrong, it's a really good mock. Really, really good mock. It's just there's so many better designs after this, especially number 1. You are going to love number 1. It is so well designed. Now, before I can get to number 1, I have to go through number 10. Yeah, we're only on number 10. Anyhow, this is no name, but it is the fear of cute things becoming scary, which again, there isn't a name for that phobia. I don't know if there's a phobia name for it, but anyways, it's a very creative design. As you can see in this little animation-ish thing Red did, it's looks innocent until boom, it jumps open with its face open. Super creative. Not as creative as the A, but I think the design's a little bit more, it hits harder a little bit. It captures that cuteness and then scary. Honestly, it's a toss-up. I'm going to be honest. It's a toss-up between the two. I could have ranked them either way, but I just like this one a touch more. I think it's maybe part of the photo story. Anyhow, yeah. Now, I do want to touch on this, as someone pointed out. Technically, it's not a Makuta. It's a Geobot. But I know I said it was meant to be a Makuta, but come on. Are we really going to be stricklers on what Makuta is? Like, is there a set definition of what a Makuta looks like? I don't think so. I think it works completely fine as it is. Next up, we have another no name, but it is the electrophobia and cyberphobia, basically fear of electricity and technology. I like this mock a lot. It gives me some Rika vibes from Blaze's design, one of Blaze's mocks, and it captures that like cybernetic and electrical thing, as you can see in the photo where he has electricity shooting off the arms. It looks like a big beefy dude that you don't want to mess with, which design-wise, that's why it's up so high. Although creativity, it's not the most creative, but I think the design just is so good, it carries it up to this place it's ranked at. Also, the design consistency with these skull spider masks, love it. And the on the kneecaps, you use those spider head things. You could have even done arachnophobia. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think having that consistency where it's like, so I keep using like, hate when I use like. Anyways, you have that consistency. We have the skull spiders and the spiders on the thing. And it just, I don't know. It's cool. What's also cool is this Makuta of nyctophobia, which is the fear of the dark. No name. A lot of no names. Anyhow, this captures my fear of the dark. Hate the dark. Hate it, hate it, hate it. But it's not just, well, for me, it's not the dark per se, but it's the lack of knowing what's in the dark. Anyhow, this is like the boogeyman, man. Boogeyman, man? That's a hard thing to say. It's the boogeyman. It's slender. It's scary. It's got these long, spindly things. It looks like it could just come out of around your bed frame, grabbing you, and just whispering in your ear, saying, "Hi there. How you doing?" Which is why it's up so high. Did that work? Scare you? No? Dang. Hoping it did. Anyhow, this is Makuta Piki. He represents Pithecophobia, which is the fear of monkeys. And my goodness, does it capture it so well. The tribal look of that Hero Factory shield was something I never realized it had until it was used here. The long, slender limbs, spindly limbs, that's what I was going to say, with the really cool clawed feet. This thing looks like a monkey, and it scares me. I don't have a fear of monkeys. This made me have one. I when I saw this mock, I'm like, ooh, no, this is going to be rough. I don't know who's going to win this contest. And then just kept coming. Better and better mocks. Speaking of better and better mocks, this is another no name. It is the Makuta of Necrophobia, Fear of Death, as the first mock that we saw showed us. And this captures death very well. This is what I mean by you should stick to more one fear. By focusing on death, it's able to incorporate the rib cage and the spiky crown / horns and that bone leg aesthetic. And the hooves. I don't know, like the hooves just give me death vibes. The claws. This captures death where the first one did not. And I don't know. I also just love those little leg things. It's just a good mock. Well designed, small, simple, but very good. It's simple but detailed. It's simple but complex. That's what a simple mock should look. A simple mock is not necessarily, a simple mock can be a few pieces slapped together, but that's never going to be a good simple mock. A simple mock uses the pieces it has effectively to create detail. And yes, this has a decent amount of parts to it, but it's still in nature a simple mock. It's smaller and it's more compact, but it uses what details it has so effectively. So I'm adding a little addendum in here. I completely forgot that Electro's mock existed. So sorry about that. This is Thalassophobia, the fear of deep bodies of water. So Thalassophobia was the fear. Okay. Anyways, beautiful design. It's very, like, it captures the fear of water very well. It's a very unique design. When it comes to building wise, the design I like a lot. It's got that really cool blue in the middle. Heck, I don't really know where to put this one, to be honest. It's so good in some aspects, but there's also like better designs. I kind of think I stuck it maybe in the wrong spot, but to be honest, a lot of them, like these really later ones, are toss-ups. They could be any one of them. But yeah, I love the light blue in the chest. Love the red all over it. The black is perfect. It's a very good build. Very, very, very good build. Now on to the next one. Now enough rambling. On to the goofiest Makuta we have here. One of the goofiest. Mr. Quackus. The fear of Anatidiapophobia, or however the heck you say it. The fear that a duck somewhere in the world is watching you. Look behind you. He's not there. Anyhow, oh my gosh, I love this thing. Obviously, it's a custom printed mask that needs to be painted, Mr. Swappers. Anyhow, the use of the ribcage, obviously he went for more Makuta, traditional Makuta aesthetic. And I do like the way he adapted the Makuta, the chest plate. Instead of using your traditional not Thornax, Tridax pod. Heart of the Nebulas if you're a Master Curve fan. Anyways, he used that ribcage piece so well. Like, it works so well. And the wings, I love the wings. The coloration, it's a bit busy, but it looks like a duck coloration. He really nailed this fear. Like, he adapted it in a very clever way. Yes, it sticks to what it is. It's a fear of a duck. But it's just something about it. He did it in a clever way. This is a very difficult contest to judge. Because I'm not only doing very well design, I'm also doing creativity. And something about this, like, for instance, if we go back to the fear of snakes. Yes, the fear of snakes is, I would say, a better design mock. But this one, it has a creativiness to it. It's still a very good mock in design, but there's something about it that just, it looks not better, but it's better. I don't know how else to describe it. Not in a mock standpoint, but in it's a higher ranking mock. But enough rambling. We're in the end game now. On to number 3. Makuta Spectro, representing spectrophobia, the fear of mirrors, or the fear of what might be reflected in them. This is, again, a prime source of creativity. He didn't just do some bog standard mock with shiny silver, which would have been I would have said that would have been a pretty cool interpretation. But he went with the idea of having this gray, all hulking gray mass that can have these puppets on the end turn into whatever you're afraid of, whatever you look into the mirror and fear. He's a puppeteer with very shapeless form, but he can be anything he wants you to be, or anything he thinks you'll be afraid of. Also, design, as simple as it is, it works very well. That simplicity lends to its design, or not its design, but its interpretation of the fear. The very moldability of it. And then you have the main guy who's composed of all these different body parts, as if he himself can also shift. He himself is a manifestation of so many others' fears. I love it. 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 Love it. But not as much as number 2, Thalassus. Thalassus. Yes, the Colossal Makuta, inspired by megalophobia. This is another case of megalophobia being done right. This is why focusing on one element is so much better than trying to focus on 18 others. Don't get me wrong. You can do other elements, as this one stated. Fear, he did pull from nyctophobia, fear of the dark, but he heavily went into that megalophobia lane, and it created this amazing colossal titan that is so well designed that, if I'm looking at my notes correctly, that's not my notes. There's my notes. You'll have seen this well before I have. It won. Yeah, it did win Best Design. It did win. Won. Yeah, it won Best Design because it is so well designed, and he's stuck to a lane. You have these pistons in the middle with a giant torso. It just goes to seem like this is a hulking mass. Why? Gosh dang it. And the legs. I love the shaping on the legs. And he used those kneecap pieces. He used the pieces that are used on the kneecap. Those are not the easiest pieces to use. He used them very well. He's got these giant hands that look like they can grab you. But at the same time, yes, he's a giant towering thing, but he looks frail. He looks beatable. But I am sure that he can just grab you and throw you across the room. Also, I love the use of that piece on the head. It's hard to use that mask, but when it's done well, it's done well. Now, we have one honorable mention for this contest. Mr. 8X's Mock. It's the Mothman, inspired by nyctophobia, which is the fear of the dark. The only reason it's an honorable mention is because, and I will say, it would have won the scariest, or the best adaptation of Phobia, not scariest. However, because this was built prior to the contest, I could not include it into the contest, even though it is a very well-built mock. And very well deserving of maybe... It may have very well been second or first place, maybe even third. But, again, doesn't fit it doesn't fit the guidelines of the contest, so we had to throw it to the curbside and give it honorable mention. Now, I want a drum roll, please, as we go on to number 1. Makuta Vertivax, the bloodhound of the Brotherhood. Hemophobia, the fear of blood, flesh, and gore. And my goodness, does this character show that? Now, I am a stickler when it comes to colors in mocks. There's no set rules I abide by. But something like this, normally, I would not love it. The green and the red, they clash. They clash very well. Now, sure, it can work in some cases. But this shouldn't work, yet it does, because it is blood, flesh, and gore. It is not meant to be on the outside of the mock, yet it is. Yet it is. It is glumping around his head. It is congealing on his arms, which are also that dark green. It shouldn't be there, yet it is. And he's got this spindly fingers and the tail. And my goodness, is that a good use of that piece? The Core Hunter bandolier part. And the mask. It's perfect. It's got this ripped up face. If you had painted that red, my goodness, would this have worked even better. The red eyes I do love, by the way. Just everything about this mock, even that like syringe-like tail, which terrifies me. I hate needles. Which, even to the point of never letting any needle or tube like anywhere near my fingers. Yep, that's clearly inspired it. That's something he did right on it. It's just, this is a beautiful mock. Heck, I'm going to read the description. I haven't done this for any other lots. Since about 5 or 6 year old, I've had hemophobia. Ever since my first blood sample test that I can remember, I've been terrified and disgusted by anything that contains blood, gore, etc. Even to the point of never letting anything needle or tube like anywhere near my fingers, unless I can be clear that I cannot nip a sample out. A dumb thing to fear, I know, but something that I can't seem to fix. Verimax is meant to be a cruel brotherhood of Makuta members likes to. Okay. This fear of needles is shown so well in the tail. So well in the tail. And the blood and the gore, just, oh my gosh, it works. I can't get enough of this mock. Even the fingers look like needles. This mock is perfection. It deserved the win. But it didn't get a fan vote. I'm shocked. It got 4 design votes, which very well earned. Although I do feel the Titan is a cooler design, but I think this is a much cleaner design. And it only got 3 of the scariest, which again, there's some scary mocks. But it's just, I feel like it should have won something. But it won this contest. So it wins something. It won something. Gosh, my brain is fried. It's also almost 1 a.m. Yeah, I'm tired. Anyhow, that's enough of this video. If you enjoyed this contest, you're going to enjoy the next one, which will be up probably next month, so April. And if you enjoyed this video with me rambling on about how to design mocks, why don't you watch my Gundam Can Inspire Your Bionicle Builds video? I know you've probably already seen it with the fact it's got 37,000, but why don't you watch it again? Anyways, that's all for this video.